You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network. Den säger knappt i en celery.
Do. There you are. We found him, everyone.
In listener land.
Turn your volume up a bit.
I think my volume's all the way up as it is.
Oh my god, what are we going to do? Let me turn mine up, see if that makes a difference.
Technical difficulties.
Oh, come on now, never. Oh my god, don't die on us here.
No, I've had a cold for like the last week or so.
Let me...
So that might come across at some point in the show.
Let's just go with it, because...
Alrighty.
This is going to be a short show, I tell you that right now. It's episode number 17 of Angry Marks Rewind here at AngryMarks.com. I'm Rowan Unruh, and it's Mike's, well, a few weeks, I guess now, based on from the last episode, it was Mike's birthday. Mike, how was your birthday?
My birthday was good. Off in the middle of the sentence.
Do we need to take a break?
No, I'm good.
Are you sure? You're sounding a little
I'm good.
We don't need you dying on the air here, brother.
That won't happen.
Okay. Before we get into the show that we were going to talk about, do you want to talk quickly about Money in the Bank, which you were probably going to watch and I may or may not?
We don't have to, but I did go to a show over the weekend.
Okay, how was that?
I went to Limitless Wrestling's Hooked on a Freedman over the weekend. And that was a good show. They gave you some qualifying matches for their next show in July, which is the Vacationland Cup. And we have going to the Cup. We have Ace Romero going over Chris Dickinson, John Silver, and Mance Warner, as well as JT Dunn going over All Ego Ethan Page. Who else was in there? Adam Brooks and I can't remember the fourth guy in that the JT Dunn match. And then we also had on the show Skylar going over Victoria from WWE, who's retiring at the end of this year, I guess. And
She's got to run her pizza place, or is that still even open?
Or her bike shop, or whatever she's doing.
Right.
Victoria's Pizza. It ain't the pizza to mess with.
So overall, did you enjoy the show? They put on a quality product as per usual. Yes.
And in the main event, it was Maxwell Jacob Friedman defending the Limitless title for the first time over Ashley Fox. Which the story of this was that Friedman had cut a promo saying that sometime during the match he was going to make Ashley kiss his boot because he's a king, and she's just a woman.
Oh man, those devilish women.
Devilish women, daddy.
He's AEW bound, is he not?
Yes. He'll be in the. I think he's in the Battle Royal at Double or Nothing.
Okay. Are you one of the wrestling Twitterverse that is getting on the case of AEW for their pay-per-view costs?
I did see that, and it is a little much. I'll take because I saw that was on Xfinity, and I don't have that. I have whatever Spectrum cable would be.
Okay, I think the last actual wrestling pay-per-view I think I actually bought was probably WrestleMania 19.
Oof.
You know,
not long ago, huh?
Back when you physically had to get off the phone and phone your cable company, get that bill, find the phone number, and get a free prize. And I think I got like a, I don't know, some sort of pool floaty, some sort of thing, I don't know, some sort of toy. Anyways.
Yes.
The kids these days that will never know the pain and suffering of actually ordering pay-per-view via your telephone.
But we will. And I've done that plenty of times, too.
Are you sure you're going to make it? Do we need to, like...
Let's see if I have something to drink real quick.
Do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do-do-do, do-do. That sounds delicious. What are you drinking there?
Mandarin orange water.
Nice.
Yes.
I don't have a beverage with me. I should have got one before. Now I'm feeling rather parched and chapped, and my God, am I going to need it for this show?
Good God.
Now, what we're looking at here, ladies and gentlemen, is the episode of WWF All-Star Wrestling from May 2nd, 1981. Now,
is this WWF or WWF or?
No, they referred to as WWF a few times.
The World Wrestling Federation.
What the world is watching. I love that opening.
The territory days.
I knew, and see, I was fixing to hate this show from the start. And the reason why we're doing this show was basically it's a rib on you because May 2nd was your birthday. That's really the only reason. Now, I watched this show before I decided that we were going to do this show. And then I watched it and I thought, this is terrible. We should talk about it. And I was fixing to rant and rave and scream about how terrible this was. But because I knew it was complete garbage going into this, my only joy in this is knowing that I had to make you watch it too.
Oh boy! Then you're gonna love the show I picked out.
Oh, I'm such a heel. So this episode of All-Star Wrestling was recorded on April 29th from Hamburg, Pennsylvania at the Fieldhouse. They filmed 4 straight episodes of TV from this show. Can you imagine being in the front, being at that show watching this?
No.
So
this was 5 years before I was even born.
So this was everything that you would expect a 1981 television show to be. The opening, well, first off, the graphic that we get from WWF Network, there's a big graphic. It's basically a disclaimer saying that this is presented in the most complete form possible due to the original product technical difficulties. So right off the bat,
means, when you have those weird things where there's no commentary for a minute, that's where they had the plugs for like the spot shows.
I have a theory about those silence segments, but we'll get into that. But right off the bat, they're telling you that this show is going to be shit. So we get the opening credits, which includes a montage of different stars of the time doing slow motion moves with different video filters such as sepia and negative photo, and there was some sweet disco music for this.
I felt like I was on Boogie Nights.
If you are looking for this show, it's in the vault section. We could probably post a link to it, but I guarantee you no one's going to want to watch this show. Which leads me to the first question. There's so much stuff out there that isn't on the network that we want to see. Who is watching these shows?
I'm pretty sure like Sheldon Goldberg from NECW and Rich Palladino, who's the ring announcer for Limitless Wrestling, probably are. But I don't know who else would be. Like people who probably watched it back when they were kids.
And the ones that are watching, or the ones that watch now, like you and I, we're like sitting, and I don't know, I like to think I'm a fan of some of these Hall of Famers. I saw the lineup. I saw, Rick Martel, he's a good worker. I thought that was going to be a high spot of this show. Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes, baby.
So the opening, or our announcers for this, a 35-year-old Vince McMahon and 40-year-old wrestling great Pat Patterson. And Patterson looks and sounds like he's never been in front of a camera before, and he stammers through his analysis of tonight's card. And
still better than Bruno.
I don't know. I mean, that's a pretty low bar, I'd say. He's somewhere between Bruno and Mike Bartlett.
Rob Bartlett?
Rob Bartlett. What did I say, Mike?
Yes.
someone who doesn't belong on TV.
Vince in a purple suit or in like a powder blue Vince.
Yeah, they were both wearing the powder blue suit, and they were standing awfully close to each other.
Uncomfortably close.
And so they're hyping up the appearance of someone who's just known as the Animal. Not saying that it's George the Animal Steele. And Patterson's talking about how he's not a wrestler. He'll chew, he'll bite, whatever is in front of him. And at the rate he's going, he won't be able to wrestle anywhere because he's banned in so many countries. And while Patterson is speaking, Vince is just staring a hole through him. Their faces are like less than a foot apart, and Vince is just eyeballing Pat this whole time.
He's not staring him down lovingly.
Nope. And Vince goes through the rest of the card, and we're going to see the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. This was what Patterson...
Dusty Rhodes.
Time out. Take a drink, Mike.
Dusty Rhodes, everybody.
Dusty Rhodes, he's got his own very much style of professional wrestling, and I don't know. I can't do a good Pat Patterson impression. I also can't do a good impression of our ring announcer, Gary Michael Capetta, on Helium. And
this isn't the NWA Gary Michael Capetta.
And during the opening announcement, Gary Michael Capetta, there's still like a ring crew guy who's putting the ring together while the opener, like before the opener has even happened.
And also he goes through the Murderer's Row sitting on the Athletic Commission.
So Capetta's listing off about 40 names of people: the Athletic Commission, the timekeeper, the referees, the ringside doctor. They cut to ringside, and there's these two dudes with 70s porn mustaches and these tweed jackets just sitting there. I was hoping beyond hope that they would just be sitting there holding cigarettes.
Oh, God.
Sounds like you had about a pack of cigarettes.
Damn cough.
Oh, man. There are no barricades at ringside, so you see the physiques of every old fat man in the front row. Have you seen a fatter row of people?
Probably.
And our opening match, the
King Kong Mosca versus Steve King.
one king to another. And King Kong Mosca is accompanied by Lou Albano. There's a lot of arm twisting. He's Mosca.
Albano yells at Vince on commentary for some reason.
Yeah. Patterson says he's one of the strongest men in all of the wrestling. And so, yeah, Albano decides to get on the mic and put Mosca over while jarring with these fans because there really was not a whole lot to call. So poor Vince and Pat didn't really have a lot to call except for arm bars, and there was some right hands that slowly knocked King to the floor. There was no way he could save himself. The fall from the ring was just so fantastic. Albano gives him what looked like a cheap shot in front of the referee, and not a DQ. Mosca hit.
He chops the guy, and the guy just rolls on the apron.
Yeah. Mosca whips him into the ropes, and he hits what I can only describe as a jumping crane kick to the thigh. And then Mosca picks him up in body slam position, drops him on his knee for a backbreaker, and then he holds him there, and this is enough to make Steve King submit at 4 minutes and 32 seconds.
Yay.
They announce that Vince says, let's go to the slow motion action. And I thought
we just saw that.
Exactly. This was all in real time. So I took note of the entire list of moves that were done in this match. Arm twist, arm bar, a right hand punch, a kick to the gut, a knee to the gut, and a backbreaker.
6 moves of doom.
And all that in 4 minutes and 32 seconds.
A move. He averages a move a match.
We're going to get to a tag match later that had one move every 9 minutes. Our next contest, George the Animal Steele versus Angelo Gomez.
One of Hulk Hogan's first opponents in '79.
Was he now?
Yes.
Who Steele or Gomez?
Gomez. Well,
he probably put on a better fight than he did here. So, again, we get scaring Mike Capetta. He has to bail before he finishes the intro, as Steel is just a crazy man. He's going to attack him.
Steel doesn't like the ring announcer. It must be his deodorant.
It's probably his cologne, he said.
Implying that Gary Capetta smells bad.
What sort of cologne would GMC be wearing in 81?
Something that smells like alcohol.
High Karate?
High Corona?
Let's see here. So Steel throws Gomez into the top turnbuckle, and then he just runs outside to move the ringside table and go after Capetta. He rushes back in. Gomez hasn't moved. He's still selling the top turnbuckle from in the corner. Steel starts biting his head, and then he just transitions to biting the turnbuckle, and he rips the padding out. Blassie then picks up I should mention that George Animal Steel has Classy Freddie Blassie in his corner for some reason. And you and I were kind of discussing what was the purpose of him being in his corner.
My thought was it would make more sense for him to be able to have Albano there because the characters would match up a little bit better.
Right. My argument was, Albano was busy managing Don Morocco and
not here.
The Samoans and
Morocco here.
How many managers were there at that? There really were only 3 managers.
The 3 wise men.
Let's see here. So
Albano, Blassie, and the Wizard.
And the Wizard, yeah.
The Grand Wizard, not the Dungeon of Doom Wizard.
Sullivan, my son.
We're gonna crush Hulkamania because nobody's ever said that before.
Right. Where are we here? Also, Blassie picks up the turnbuckle padding, which is basically just like an old couch cushion that has, no padding on it, and he gives it to Steel, and Steel proceeds to just kind of cram it in Gomez's mouth. Animal picks him up for the hammerlock, which I was completely unaware that this was his finisher, but then I went back.
Flying hammerlock of death.
A flying hammerlock. So he picks him up, and the hammerlock holds him in the air for 2 seconds, then drops him, and this is enough to make Gomez submit.
Weak jobber.
Steel is going over the left arm. He's biting the top rope, and the announcers take a powder. So we have no official time, but I timed this at 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
That's about Steel's work rate. In any case,
just in case there's any historians out there that needed to know.
Where are you?
So George then jumps the guard string to scare some of the marks like he's Brody.
Good God, this building is set up like any indie show would be.
It was definitely set up in some sort of high school gym because you could see all the lines on the floor where the basketball games are, what they use those for.
Hamburg Fieldhouse. And the other tapings would be the Allentown Fairgrounds, I think.
You know it's ghetto when it's a fairgrounds. Or
it's a very bad indie show, because I've been to a few of those.
We get Pete Mitchell.
Looks like a biker.
Another great jobber. At least like when you watch WWF Superstars and then from the 90s, at least some of these jobbers, they get like in a punch, or they get to put a headlock on.
Or they're recognizable, like Barry Horowitz or Iron Mike Sharp.
Right, or Red Tyler, or someone, guys of that ilk. But
Brooklyn Brawler.
No one was able to get any offense on, from the quote-unquote stars. And that would continue here as Pete Mitchell took on the returning Dusty Rhodes, who was announced of 261 pounds of sweet soul. So what does everyone else weigh? What are they made of? Pete Mitchell was 300 pounds of shit in a 200-pound bag.
Yep.
What did you like about this match?
The promo afterwards.
The match was nothing. Dusty takes Mitchell down a few times. He works over the right leg. We get Patterson again calling him Dusty Road. Mitchell.
Dusty Road.
We get Pete Mitchell finally gets to rake the eyes. So we're 16 minutes into the show, and it's the first sign of offense from any of the jobbers. But Dusty has none of it. He throws him outside. It looked like Mitchell landed with his eyeball directly on the corner of the wooden steps. and Big Dust throws him back in. He hits a vertical suplex and the big elbow drop for the win at 2 minutes and 5 seconds. And then the highlight of this entire episode was the Dusty Rhodes promo, who...
I wish we could play these without getting in trouble.
Let me see if I could paraphrase most of what he said. And the thing is, if you transcribe a Dusty promo word for word, it makes no goddamn sense. He says so many words, but he really says nothing. And people love it.
Warrior.
And he's still able to talk people into the building. I mean, after watching this, I was ready to go buy my ticket to see Dusty Rhodes and George Steele.
Or Dusty Rhodes and Don Morocco.
Right. So that he says, the dream is traveling all over this country, seeing all the bad dudes like George the Animal Steele, and no one can get funky like the dream. And meanwhile, there's Vince McMahon playing, every bad teenage dad holding the microphone, kind of laughing, and then, oh, you have to get funky like a monkey.
Funky like a monkey, baby.
So he addresses Blassie, he challenges anyone, he talks about Morocco.
He talks about how there are no prettier women in the tri-state area.
He says,
especially when he's talking about beaches and stuff. I'm like, really, Dust? There's no prettier women in New York, Connecticut, frickin' New Jersey, and all those places.
Like, how many years did he spend in Florida? You're telling me that the women in Connecticut are better looking than the ones in Florida?
I know it's supposed to be for like a cheap pop, but there weren't those in the early 80s.
And every husband in that crowd was looking at their woman and is like, no, he's wrong. He addresses King Kong Mosca and...
Ping Pong Mosca.
In the history of sick burns, he gets the crowd to chant, ping pong. And this goes on for about, 30 seconds. And Vince is looking very uncomfortable. Mosca's a great football player. He played maybe 11, 20 years. Who knows?
Dusty Rhodes, not a mathematician. 11, maybe 20 years. You skipped a few years.
11, maybe 20. And I'm sure any football historian can tell you exactly how long he played. But who knows? Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
And then he puts over the champion, Bobby Backlund. But says,
I'd love to face Bobby Backlund. Well, you're not going to get the chance.
I would have liked to see that, actually.
I bet that would have actually been a good match. That could have drawn an MSG, I bet.
He's so fast, his fists are bigger than lightning bolts, his tongue is longer than the Nile River, and he makes love better than James Bond.
Somewhere Sean Connery is laughing at you.
Shut down, Trebek. So he calls out George Steele again. He gets in the ring. He's all fiery. He continues his promo, which is the highlight of this whole show. And then they just stop and cut to commercial. What the hell?
Dust, we're out of time. We've been out of time for just a couple minutes.
Dusty's missing his time cues here.
Don't you give me my time cues.
Jerry Johnson taking on Sergeant Slaughter.
With the Grand Wizard.
He's taking on, he's with the Grand Wizard, and I guess he's a heel, because the fans are chanting Gomer at him.
Pat Patterson talking about not getting his money from doing the Cobra Clutch Challenge, and I'm sitting here thinking, I know they had an alley fight around this time. I'm not sure what the exact date on that was, though.
I'm not even sure. Should we look it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotta fill time somehow.
Let's kill some time here. Speaking of killing time... move Skype down here.
Slaughter does a few things.
Well, I was going to say, even before the match, like Slaughter's making his entrance, and he's cutting a promo right in the middle of the camera, and I guess the camera operator didn't bother to turn the microphone on, because all we could hear was the overdubbing of crowd noise.
Turn on the camera, maggot!
Sergeant Slaughter, Pat Patterson. Safe search on.
Legends House. Oh, wait. Sergeant Slaughter wasn't on that.
The alley fight between Pat Patterson and Sergeant Slaughter took place on May 4th, 1981. So only a week after that this show aired.
A couple of days after.
In MSG.
Monday after.
Yep. So there you go, kids.
You can sleep tonight.
So Grand Wizard is arguing with the referee, who has just a fantastic afro, and I find out during the course of this match that it's Dangerous Danny Davis. He's so skinny. So
not fucking up Heart Foundation British Bulldog matches.
So there's no opening bell here, so we're going to have, again, another unofficial time. So Slaughter's first spot is to do a roll-up that he holds for about a week and a half. He's just sitting there in a schoolboy, and he just keeps... Oh, that sounded lewd.
Oh, God. He's sitting here in a... Thanks, Quagmire.
In his new move with what we call the Cosby.
Oh, God. Right in the pudding pop.
So the Gomer chants are really getting to him, and to me, I always thought there was no better way for a heel to be a heel than to get pissed off about stupid little chants. And Paul Orndorff was a great example of this in about 94, 95. So Sarge has a couple of headlock takedowns and some hip tosses. Again, Patterson said that they're coming off the tail end of their feud with Slaughter, where they make reference to Patterson trying to break the crowbar clutch.
The Cobra clutch.
No, he said crowbar clutch.
Damn it, Pat, get the line right. You're as bad as Bruno.
And this is what... This was exactly where there was a long pause in commentary, and I thought, this is for sure where Vince turned off his microphone, turned to Pat and said, "Hey, asshole, get your shit together."
Goddamn, pal, you're making me look bad.
I don't want to be embarrassed on this episode of 1989 or 1981 All-Star Wrestling.
I already got to put up with Bruno. I don't have to put up with bad commentary from you, too.
So Slaughter hits two of the ugliest drop kicks I've ever seen. He slaps on the Cobra clutch. He wins. Capetta said that the time of the match was 5 minutes and 10 seconds, but I timed it out. It was actually only 4:02. So...
Fixing the times, are you, Gary?
They show a slow motion replay, which is actually done in real time speed. And then, what I thought would be the shining moment on this show.
The world's longest nerve hold.
I'm just going to sit back, Mike, take a drink, compose yourself, take us through Tony Gurria and an extremely hairy Rick Martel taking on Baron Miguel Cicluna and fat piece of shit Chris Kanyon.
Everybody's better than that, Canyon.
First of all, was there a sale on blue tights? All four guys were wearing royal blue.
They didn't talk to each other before the match.
So, okay.
Cicluna snaps over Martel and just logs in a nerve hold for about 8 minutes.
No, Gurria.
Gurria? Yeah. Well, some female fan is like, "Come on, Tony! Come on!" And every time it looks like Gurria's going to break out of it, he gets pulled back down. There was no, build-up to it. It's just...
No.
Snap there, nerve hold for 8 minutes.
There were no other moves.
I'm pretty sure the nerve hold might be Cicluna's only move.
How is he a Hall of Famer?
Coco Beware's a Hall of Famer.
Johnny Rods is, but Baron Miguel...
Johnny Rods trained people.
Okay, we're not making this up, people. Gurria is in seated position, and Cicluna has both his hands on either one of Gurria's trapezius. This happened 8 times. Gurria would hulk up, he'd get a couple of shots to the stomach, and Cicluna would drag him back down, pull him down by the trunks, yank him down by the head. No one tagged.
And fat Chris Cannon would get involved, and the ref wouldn't see it.
So after the third double nerve pinch, I thought, okay, well, this eventually has to stop.
I thought, beam me up, because they're doing an homage to Star Trek.
Then there's a fourth double nerve pinch. And then there's a fifth double nerve pinch. Again with the fucking double neck pinches. Fuck this match.
Not double neck pinch.
Keeping in mind, Rick Martel is not in the Hall of Fame yet. And Baron Miguel Cicluna is. And Tony Gurria.
Tony Gurria is too, yeah. I think all those guys went in the first one they did in 94.
So after being in this hold 7 times, Gurria finally breaks it with a punch. And Cicluna goes flying backwards. He's writhing in pain. He's holding his ear. and Gurria finally makes the hot tag, but that goddamn referee didn't see it, and it's disallowed, and now we're into the 8th nerve hold.
God damn it, ref.
Gurria and Scicluna immediately need to be taken out of the Hall of Fame and shot. Well,
Scicluna's already dead.
Well, you need to exhume that body and then just shoot him. Again.
Tony Gurria's probably in the Hall of Fame because he was around there forever as a wrestler and an agent, breaking up fights into the 2000s.
Right. He was just one of those suits like Rene Goulet that got to come out in the 90s and break up brawls.
Is that Pat Patterson? Man, did he get fat.
So Martel finally gets a legal tag in, and he's a House of Fire, and he's doing... If you've ever seen any Strikeforce matches, he has the same babyface fire. He pumps his fists, and he jogs in place, and then he fucks up Scicluna's first spot by punching him in the side of the hip, which Scicluna forgets to sell. And then I forgot that big fat piece of shit Chris Kanyon was still in this match. He has also done nothing. And
he's been a ring post.
Scicluna has no faith in his own partner, and why should he?
I'm gonna
really?
work this match, and I'm gonna do a 10-minute nerve hold.
And really, why should he? I mean, we're watching Thez and O'Connor here doing nerve pinches for 10 fucking minutes.
In a 15-minute time limit match.
So Martel and Kanyon finally get in. At this point, Vince has decided to call him Chris Cannon because he's forgotten his name. And so Martel tries to pick him up and slam him, but he's totally dead weighting him. Martel has to lock in a front face lock, and Kanyon just keeps... I guess the only reason he's in this front face lock is to keep him from fucking up any more spots. And then Martel finally gets a body slam on this fat bastard. Gurria's back in, and Cannon misses a charge in the corner, and he hits the post with his shoulder, and he spills to the floor. And I thought, after all this better not be a goddamn count out. I need some closure in this.
I would have taken the count out.
If you're going to do a count out, do it in 2 minutes. Don't do it in 11 minutes and 28 seconds. Of which 9 minutes was a fucking nerve pinch. And then they mess up the ending. Something fierce. Martel whips Cannon into the ropes twice, and Cannon almost falls out of the ring twice. On the second time, Gurria hits this ugly as shit cross body. He's got his ass in Canyon's face and his leg across his ball sack, and the ref counts 3, and mercifully...
Looks like he was trying to scissor him.
Mercifully, this match is over at 11:28. How in the hell? Oh, just...
Quality control!
I could have reenacted this entire match with my cats, and Dave would have given it 3 3/4 stars compared to this shitfest. This is what passed for entertainment in 1981. Now we get our main event of the evening. The most important match of the night. Scheduled for one fall to a curfew. Now,
is this the last taping of the night?
No, this was the first.
Jesus Christ. Usually the curfew would be for the last thing.
Yep. So, for the kids out there that don't know what that means, way back in the day, especially in the Northeast, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, the place where all the hot women are, according to Dusty Road.
The roads, baby.
The arenas could only be open until like 11 p.m. because the government or the city or whatever said that everyone has to go home because it's New York and it's not a safe place to be, which is true.
All the drunk people.
All, because you don't want to get stabbed after, watching Baron Scicluna matches.
You'd rather get stabbed during them.
So, our main event, I don't know if you know this, Mike, but it's a battle of 2 Hall of Famers. Are you dying?
No.
Baron Scicluna killed you!
You bastard.
From beyond the grave.
You bastard, Baron. I'm coming to get you.
You have been... So like I was saying, let's take her home. We have a battle of 2 Hall of Famers in magnificent Morocco, accompanied by the Grand Wizard, and Irish Terry Gunn.
What the hell?
Irish Terry Gunn was inducted the New England Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2011, and I watched his Hall of Fame speech, and it was riveting.
I'd like to thank whoever the hell invited me tonight.
Yeah. Terry Gunn is a dead ringer for the Lucky Charms leprechaun who just let himself go in the middle of a 3-day bender. He's...
Oh, God.
Don't worry, we're almost done.
This show's going to be a mess to edit, isn't it?
A 45-minute show is going to be edited down to about, 3.5 minutes. And 2 of those minutes will be a fucking trapezius hold. So, Morocco looks like he's just totally stepped out of a spray tan booth. He is wearing brown trunks. He's got brown leathery skin. He looks like a human suitcase. And, Morocco's very first spot was an attempted headlock takeover, which got fucked up. And I'm not sure whose fault it was, but Morocco looked mad, and he looked like he was... He then, he transitioned to what looked like a shoot headlock. Poor Terry Gunn could not escape. He made it to the ropes, so the ref had to break it up. Again, Patterson is stumbling through his commentary, trying to put Morocco over. So I'm assuming, like we said before, the previous 2 minutes of silence, Vince was giving... Well, that was nice. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do during this match. Get drunk and belch. So every time Patterson is he's supposed to be putting over all these heels, he uses the same rote catchphrases about every star. He really knows all the ins and outs of all of the wrestling moves, and he wants to get down and dirty. He's so versatile. Like, he said the exact same thing about Mosca and Scicluna. And
who used a nerve hold for 8 minutes.
Right. Morocco has his thumb taped up, and I guess they called it the Asian spike. And he's jabbing
He's Hawaiian, not Asian.
He's jabbing it into Gunn's neck about 3 or 4 times. Gunn's bumps are absolutely hideous.
I think the referee would check that hand.
He gets thumbed in the neck, and Terry Gunn, leaps in the air, like Batista did with Mark Henry. Oh. Patterson calculates that Morocco will give somewhere between 150 to 200%. He'll never stop and he'll never let go. And, and then Morocco jams his thumb into Gunn's neck, which is a submission, and the ref stops it, and Morocco lets go. So Patterson was wrong.
And next week you'll see a message from Bruno Sammartino and Dusty Rhodes and Mil Mascaras.
And Pedro.
Electrifying Pedro.
Oh, just in case anyone's interested, Don Morocco and Irish Billy Gunn went 3 minutes and 14 seconds.
Darn it. This show sucked.
This is Vince McMahon with wrestling great Pat Patterson. Well, goodbye. They show the replay of Morocco jabbing his finger into Gunn's neck, and then they just turn the show off.
Abrupt endings are the best kind.
I don't ever want to watch this era ever again.
That should be that is the proper reaction to something like that. And I have the next pick, I suppose.
Put us out of our misery. Please pick something good.
Well, I'm gonna give you maybe something good. Because I've got for you the return of the Great American Bash from 1995.
Oh, that had that awesome Flair Savage match, didn't it?
Yes, and I'm going to actually go through the card here and there's actually a lot going on in WCW around this time, so you might need some observer notes, and I might go for some history. I might actually do a little research on the history of the Great American Bash for the beginning of the show, so at least up until that point.
All right, hit us up.
The card, we have Alex Wright against Flying Brian. We have an arm wrestling match with Dave Sullivan and Diamond Dallas Page. We have Hacksaw Jim Duggan against Sergeant Craig, the Pitbull Pittman. We have Harlem Heat versus Bunkhouse Buck and Dick Slater, which is the beginning of the Colonel Rob Parker Sister Sherry storyline. The Renegade against Arn Anderson. We have the Nasty Boys against the Blue Bloods. We have the finals of the U.S. title tournament with Sting versus Ming. And as you said, the main event is Randy Savage and Ric Flair.
Yeah, those top two matches, I remember both of them being really good.
Yep. And the opener's pretty good too.
Alex Wright was a really good opening match babyface.
Kind of like Johnny B. Bad was. So that should be a fun show to go back and watch, and hopefully I don't have this nasty cough that I have right now in 2 or 3 weeks when we come back.
I'll see what I can do in post. Maybe I might just leave it all in. Who knows?
Ah, boy.
Because we're
professionals.
We're authentic. We're authentic. We're honest. We have nothing to hide, except that's why I keep a shirt on. But
oh God. In any event, on that note, I think we're done for this week.
Go have some NyQuil, get some sleep.
I took some Robitussin before the show.
You're a trooper. Thank you very much for watching this and feeling our pain. Twitter, how can people get a hold of you?
Wrestling 5286 on Twitter and on Facebook. Just look up Mike Poulin and I will probably add you.
And you can find me on Twitter at Rowan Unruh. If you have any ideas for shows that you want us to sit through, hit us up at AngryMarksRewind@gmail.com. Subscribe to the YouTube feed, AngryMarks.com.
Alrighty, and on that note, we will talk to you guys in a couple weeks.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yep.
Good night.